Okay. All right. So this knoll bench here, um, if you take away the details, it is a little bit smaller there. And here's something that I would recommend you practice is just 2-point perspective. You start with that vertical. Oops, to the vanishing point, and then from the bottom here to the vanishing point should be about there. So I think practicing drawing these in different positions, let's say if I draw this out here, you could start this assignment by just drawing 3 boxes that are about the right dimensions to be your furniture piece. So I can just correct that now before I go too far. And for me, like a freehand drawing of this is, I think, is helpful because I make decisions fairly quickly, and then I can get a quick approximation. The more you practice this, the faster I think you can get at it. And doing that quickly and getting fast, just getting faster at it, where you can make it look close enough quickly, and it's a good way to develop skill in the drawing. So now with these furniture objects, you're not really going to have an opportunity to draw above the horizon line unless you're drawing something that is very tall, which I'm not going to find that much that is useful to draw that's really tall. It will go over, go above your eye level, but you might. But barring that, everything you draw is going to be below the horizon line. So you could just set your horizon line higher, give yourself more room to draw down below. Okay? And if you're drawing on a sheet and you can't fit 3 views comfortably on one sheet, then just use another one. And like if you just say, label this knoll bench, use 1 and 2. Then I won't look for the third one in this drawing since I can't see it. Yeah, so that's a recommendation, is to practice by drawing these out. I can come along here and correct some of my angles if I want to, which could be useful for accuracy. But drawings tend to look a little bit more lifelike if their edges are not all drawn so rigidly where it's a softer surface. Like metallic, these, like the legs on that knoll bench, those are hard edge, rectangular, rigid steel legs, but the upholstered seat is softer, so that is where your freehand can come in handy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's tough getting like 15 little buttons on that surface. As long as it's, but as long as it's close, you can get away with having 12. You don't have to necessarily have all of them. Right now, drawing these legs, I can draw this fairly quickly. I want you, if you do draw these, like some of these things quickly, like this, make sure you're drawing all the surfaces. Like I don't want these legs to just be like that when it's actually a rectangle. If it's like a tapered cylinder, then you can get away with. There's no edge in the middle. It's just it's a curving surface. You'd probably want to have, like, if light's coming this way, a little shadow to show some volume. But yeah. This is the kind of thing, if you practice drawing these objects, even just like the base form, it's going to help. Good. Now I want to look at some other stuff. Stop this share and start this other share. Oh, do dear, so many buttons in front of me. All right. So now this one, we go into the assignment 2. So this is me drawing this Herman Miller scissor chair freehand. Okay, Alex, here's your scissor chair. This is for Alex, one of the students. So there's my full screen. All right, so there's the scissor chair on the Herman Miller website. See that X of the structure is all at a diagonal, so I have to approximate that diagonal and start with my vertical corner. Even though the chair slants diagonally, I want to start with a vertical to give myself some understanding of how much I'm changing, how much of a diagonal I'm using. So then I have a plane, and for the back, top and the bottom of that plane are going to the vanishing point. And initially what I'm doing is I'm making my best guess as to what the angles should be. So here, let me stop this for a second. I'm going to find, let's go to this Herman Miller website. Search. Here it is. Oh, come on. Rude website. Okay, so this is the scissor chair. And I will send this to you in the chat. There you go. Come back to this right here. So if you find this video helpful, then you can always go to that link in the assignment section, which will go to my YouTube channel, and then give you that. And it's not a bad idea if you're trying to figure out how to do this stuff. If you're watching a video like this, and you can just follow along and copy what I'm doing and pause it, go back a little earlier, and just study the video and try to just follow along and do this yourself. In some cases, this might help you see only how to draw this chair in this view, but hopefully it'll start to rub off and you can just learn more generally how to draw things in perspective. That is the goal. That. So the volume of the legs is always like, sometimes you can get away with just like drawing it as like a broad shape, depending on if it's meant to be sketchy. But if it's going to have finer detail, then you're going to probably have to draw like those two parallel lines for the edge to show the volume of it. Right. All right. So I'm comparing the angle. If I have the seat too steep in my drawing. All right, let's see what else. Okay, here are just more refinements coming. And I'm going to draw another one. Okay, so I'm going to draw another one facing me. Sometimes I will start with an angle from the vanishing point to show like an edge on the ground or the floor, because I'm trying to draw like the shape of the base of the chair or the shape of the base of something that I'm drawing. Here I'm just trying to approximate that angle of that initial plane. This here, I'm just approximating that angle the best I can. bit of a challenging view, but you can see it's really gets down to refinements like this. There's something with the depth of the seat. This was a challenging chair to draw. There's some aspects that are helpful where you can see really clear edges, but challenging. Just to take everything off because it's not aligned well at all. The seat doesn't really look like it's in there correctly. There. Much better. Good job. I know what to do. Yeah, so the angle of it angling upward does not go to the vanishing point. The front edge of the seat goes to the vanishing point. The back edge of that frame where it's sitting on the floor, those go to the vanishing point. And that foreshortening of like seeing, just like slightly seeing the bottom of the chair's seat, that's just a tough angle to get. So you'll run into that at some point because there will be no way around it. So that is my there. Let's write that a little bit of volume. You can see that frame some mass will help a lot. Side of the pencil. All right, that's probably enough of that. So videos like that one will be helpful to you. And I'm going to do some more demo. Does anyone have any requests for something to draw? Like, are you working on something and you want to see how I would work it out?
So I was trying to do is it Seska chair? Is that how you pronounce it?
Say that again?
The Seska?
Oh, the Seska chair, yes.
Yes. I'm having a really hard time with like the back of the chair, like the top, the back.
Okay.
So that's my only request.
Okay, I will. That's good. Well, I'll take that challenge. And I will show you.
Like I have what looks like the back of a chair. It's just not in like the dimensional.
Hmm. Yeah. So so let's see. We can try to break this down. So here, this is a little bit soft. I'm going to draw some more here.
And looking at mine, it might be too tall, actually, the back of mine.
Okay. Yeah, let me just stuff. Okay. So Yeah, so the Seska chair is so the seat and the back have this frame. So like the back of the chair standing up. So I'm just going to sketch this out without using perspective. It can be started like that, like it's a kind of like a kind of a flat block. And then the front of it, you can see is like that. You can see a little bit of the depth of it through the material, like that. So if I'm going to draw this, vanishing point, vanishing point, I'm just going to draw the back, that piece for the back of the chair. So that is so the way it's rounded kind of hides the it hides a little bit of like the depth of it. So from here, if we round off the corners, having the rectangular corner that's like starting it out as a more sharp rectangle helps you to control the consistency of how you soften that corner.
I get it now.
Yeah, it's just it can be a little hard.
I was I was trying to do it like free-handed and it just was not right and I couldn't understand.
Yeah,
Well, and part of it I was drawing like the metal sides going up it too first.
yeah.
So I'm guessing not to do that.
Well, they do. Yeah, like that metal goes behind this seat frame, or like it goes right. It goes behind the back, not up the side.
Then the picture I'm looking at, oh, I see. It's just a viewpoint of it I'm looking.
Yeah, it's because it's a little dark. It's kind of obscured a little bit. Oops. Now the seat, over on the seat, here. So not exactly the same angle as the photo you have in the assignment document, but that's okay. It's something that might take you a little time to get used to when you're drawing. Looking at, like, if you're looking at a picture for reference, your drawing doesn't match the angle of the photo. You just have to. You're using the photograph as an example of what it looks like and what it's like the design details are. But your perspective drawing has to have its own angles that are based on where your vanishing point is and where you placed it on the sheet. So like that. Now this one, these are kind of rounded off a little bit here on the front, which, and when you round this off, you take the corner off, you kind of move where this vertical edge is. It kind of moves it in. Curve that. Now it curves more on the back. It's a little more like that. I think this is a little bit tall in terms of its thickness or the height of it. There. And then on top, I got to bring that in.
Thank you. That actually makes more sense to me than drawing it within a box.
Okay, good. Very good. Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways to do it and a lot of ways to approach it. So usually it's helpful if I offer a lot of different ways to do something. That's so like this is still too tall. That's better. Now with this light caning on the surface, don't want to make it too dark. I can draw with the eraser. The eraser is a good tool to draw with if you need to lighten pencil. More. Line up. Yeah, that's better. That's not perfect, but yeah, like that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, those don't really line up. So I guess in a way, I mean, that could be something that could be helpful to just try drawing parts independent of each other if it helps you to see more clearly how to draw something and how you can break it down in perspective. All right. Good. Now, let's try drawing something else. Oh, I know what I want to see. All right, so this is a um, Eileen Gray daybed, or I guess you could call it a couch or a daybed. Um, and some of you will remember this from the history of furniture class. If you haven't taken that class, I just sent this to you, a link to you in chat. Actually, let me just bring this change the share. This. So you can see it's two rectangular volumes. The seat's a little bit thinner than the frame beneath it, and then it has the steel, this sort of steel frame wrapping around it. So this is what I will demonstrate next, and the link. Now let's go back to the. Share that. All right. So this is this daybed is from the late 1920s. Eileen Gray, along with Marcel Breuer, Mark Stam, Mies van der Rohe, she was designing furniture. She was initially her training was in lacquering, which is like doing lacquer by hand traditionally is very tough to do it well, and she was good at it. And so she moved into, I believe she was also did get an architecture degree, or she just did architecture. She was furniture designer, interior designer. One of the few women doing this at the time, like in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. She died in 1976. So, all right. I'm going to do this one in, initially, I'm going to do this in 1-point perspective. I'm going to put the vanishing point up there. All right, 1-point perspective. If I'm going to draw the length of it for the depth. That. And then approximate that it ends about right there. So that's this is actually off the surface. This is in the front. So there's this bar down. It comes up the back, so it goes. Sure, I think the back of it, like if this is the part that sticks up, the back of it is kind of behind it. It's better. All right, you with me? You with me so far here?
Yes.
Good. This one, mercifully, there are only 8 buttons. 1, 2, go to the vanishing point. This being 1 point, there would be just a horizontal. That. There's this. So it starts as kind of a, I mean, it's rectangular form, but you're going to soften this. Now I would be careful having too hard of an edge like up here, because there is kind of a transition from the shadow to the highlight. It's not so completely sharp of an edge, even though there's a seam there. There, I think I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. The difference between the cushion and the frame is not that great. Details just yet. This corner. I'm approximating the height. And approximate the depth. I can see that this bar is more than halfway from end to end, so I just want to try to make it look like that's bigger than this. And this daybed has like this bar, which is just sort of the suggestion of the back, something, some barrier that really wouldn't keep you on. I guess maybe it would if you throw some pillows on it. Sharp corner. It's good. I'll come back to the detail here. You know, if you find you're drawing this and like, it's like I just can't. It's, you know, it's just some part of it is frustrating you a little bit, just because you can't quite get the detail right. Move on to some other part of the drawing and then come back to it. Don't let it drive you too crazy. Because at some point you do have to come back and deal with it. Okay. Notch. All right, I'm going to draw that. This right here is where straight edge will come in nice and handy. Okay. Yeah, that's getting close. Funny looking down here where it's thin and challenging to draw it, but using pencils punched in wood, sharpen them frequently. This pencil I'm using here is a very soft one, which means it's darker. I want something that shows up well on camera, but they also get dull fast. So to show this frame, the steel frame actually sits in, it's in front of the base of this day bed, so it should stick out a little. Good. draw this fabric seam thin. And the marks I'm making for that are just like, it's a sharp pencil, and I just put the pencil on the mark that I'm drawing, like the place I'm starting, and I lift it as I just kind of swipe it to the right, and it makes a nice thin tapered line. That's technique. And that's something that you can practice. You can sit and watch whatever things you like to watch on whichever streaming service or traditional broadcast TV, whatever you do. You can just sit in a page of a sketchbook, just sit there and practice making lines where you control it. There's a feel to it. Yeah. So I found that can be, especially when I was learning how to draw, way back when I was in college, I would just draw anything, and I knew I was told practice and you'll get better, and I spent some time in athletics in high school and college, so I know that that's true. And this is just it's like this is a skill, and so any skill must, people can learn how to do all kinds of things if they try and practice. To okay. Just look too. It looks so soft. Sometimes that's like drawing, like with this soft pencil, it's hard to make sharp edges sometimes, sharp corners. Just go back and redraw them. That's better. But also, see, it can be tough to do it when this that bar is so thin. But you can see in the picture of it that the reflection, there's like a reflection, it's like this compressed. What it is, like a cylindrical reflective tube like that. There's something over like in front of the thing that is darker and causing that to this it's causing this reflection, but because the surface is curved, it compresses it into just a little strip. So something like that can show this. Go. Bottom edge here. Gauge how. doesn't lift it very high off the floor. And that is too. Okay, that's better. Now some of this detail I'm putting in here with pencil. When you do this with marker, you'll put that detail in with the marker. There. Done-ish. Yeah. So my I think my proportions are not, they're not quite exact in this, but, and you know, as I said earlier with that the Sesca chair, if you draw this and think like, yeah, I think it's a little too thick, maybe it doesn't look like quite has the right proportions, just move on to the next drawing and correct the proportions in the next drawing. So you could spend days trying to make this thing perfect. If I had to like make this, like if I say this is too tall, if I needed to make it shorter, I would just choose either like the bottom or the top based on which is the least amount of work. And I think if I would, you know, if I took this off the top, I wouldn't have to redraw all of this for that the steel frame. I would just have to move this one down. So this I would like just shave it off the top. You'd have to move this seam a little bit down here, but like that would be perfectly good. Okay. What do you think of that?
Looks good.
It's still just a big, you know, it's basically the base of it is it's a rectangular form. Looks like a big ice cream sandwich in its strange little way. With no ice cream in it. That would be disappointing. Okay. All right. We'll take a couple minutes here. I'll be right back. Okay, so. All right. So that, did that make sense, drawing that corner?
Where did you get, does that line just go from like your left vanishing point? Not that line. Yes.
Yeah, so this one, so I started off by just deciding I'm putting an edge here. I could have,
Okay.
like if I want it close to the wall, then this line has to be close to the base of the leg. It can't be lower. If it's lower than the base of the leg, it's going to lift the thing off the floor.
Right.
So I want the edge here to be, close to there. It's like not too far above the bottom of the leg, so that I can keep it looking like it's close to the wall.
Okay.
And so in this case, it's kind of arbitrary. I just
That makes sense.
place that there, and then I just place this here. And I drew it in such a way that you could see the base of the wall beneath the bench.
Yeah, I missed that first part. I had a visitor jumping on me at the time.
What a surprise!
Yeah. So I missed that first line.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get those a lot, which is okay. That's just little babies. Um, the,
So just where the two lines meet is your corner going up.
Yep. And so if this is parallel to the architecture, you use the same vanishing points for both.
I get it. Makes sense.
Good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. There you are. So that's and then if you wanted to try to create some effective white shadow. Some baseboard molding. It's probably the top of it is probably going to be hidden behind the bench. I'll just say here. questions? Quarter round or something. Too close. So one thing that in when we get into doing some of the marker rendering, you have a light gray. If that were like white baseboard, it might just have like a really light shadow to it. You'll find when they fade out like that. I have refill, which I will warm gray is probably going to look a little brown back first. Graphite's a little too much graphite will make this a little dirty. This wall on the right, the darker of the two. So settle down the if you do marker over pencil, it's hard to erase it. Sometimes with enough marker, the marker will just seal the pencil into the paper. So you want to be careful if you're doing marker shading over a over someplace that's got some like stray pencil lines. You want to erase those stray pencil lines first. Otherwise, they're just you're stuck with them. Like that stuff there, or the horizon line. Excuse Excuse me. Yeah, walls are tough because like if it's an off-white wall, there's only you really don't want to make it dark. Probably should. This is a warm gray 0. It's a little bit lighter. All right. Well, it gives it a little bit more. Definitely gives it more mass if you put in some light and shadow, and the markers are a little bit more like painting, and it's a little easier to make a more realistic looking surface with the marker than it is with pencil. Pencil just is so like, even like with the colored pencils, like here, I've got this nice olivey color. It's a little hard to make it look like it's I guess I could try to make it look like it's a surface. But I think with the graphite and that gray marker, to sort of stand out. Too much draw. It's just too much graphite. Graphite does, like the graphite pencil, which is what's in any any of these pencils, does not mix well with the colored pencils. So if you have like like the graphite, like that, which is nice. Some of these really soft graphites are nice because they'll smudge and you can mess around with them. But if you try putting like a colored pencil going over it, it's going to have a hard time not looking kind of dirty. So when we get into doing like more like the marker rendering, I will suggest that you begin like with minimal pencil shading. If like really like don't do any pencil shading really. Put a marker base down that's more solid, and then you do the colored pencil on top of it. So this is a. I think I can see the volume of the bench pretty well, but that's too. It's getting a little overdrawn. Sometimes like you just have to like you realize you should have stopped sooner. I mean, this is getting overworked because of I'm using it as a demo, and I keep adding things when I would normally not keep doing that. Color just kind of hanging out there by itself. Right. Same color. I'm trying to make that more uniform. That's a little better, actually. All right, that's enough. Enough.